I just want to do a media availability here, talk about our season a little bit, talk about the playoffs, which is the time of year that we are most excited about. Our regular season went well. We were 50 wins for the third time in franchise history. We had the third best record in the National Hockey League. We had the most regulation wins in the NHL. When you go through the 82 game season, it's incredible what a grind it is, not just for our team, for all teams. The schedule being a little more condensed this year because of Four Nations. It was really a measure of your team if you could have consistency to your game. Different times this year when I did media, I gave credit to Washington and Winnipeg, who for me demonstrated that the best, Winnipeg being the President's Cup champion, but they were consistent all the way through. When I look at our team, we were pretty consistent as well. We had a really good stretch right up till New Year's. I don't think we lost a game in December, which has traditionally been a really good month for us. January was that tougher month. We were 500 on the month. I think we were 6-6-3. I've always put a lot of value in what your team does from traditionally the All-Star break till the end of the season, but this year the Four Nations break till the end of the season. We were 18-5-3 coming back from Four Nations. I was hoping to be 18-8, 36 points. We ended up with 39 points. When you factor in the two games going into Four Nations that we won in New York, we were 25-3 down the stretch. I think that's really important. I think that shows your team game is developing, evolving. I've said to you before that I always believe your team, has to continue to get better over the course of the year. I think we lost that opportunity last year with all of the injuries that we had. This year, while we have had, our share of injuries, we've been much healthier than we were a year ago. Offensively, fifth in the NHL in goals for. Defensively, third in the NHL goals against. 274 goals, a franchise record for the Golden Knights, which going into the season I think was a question mark for some people. So it was really encouraging to see the types of seasons that some players had. Best power play that we've had in franchise history. Faded a little bit at the end to finish in second place. Had a real chance for a long period of time to be a power play that was over 30%, finished at 28.3. Our health going into, discipline, league record, NHL record for fewest time shorthanded, which to me speaks to real discipline from your team. We check with our legs, we don't reach, and I think we're respected by the officials. I think that's part of it. Unfortunately, fewest power plays in the NHL, which, not to get myself fined, I just struggle to believe you can be a first place team with 50 wins and have the fewest power plays in the league. But I think our 5-5 game is really good, and I think at playoff time, that's a really critical part of it for any team is your 5-5 play. So we're encouraged by that. I was going on to talk about our health. We'll start the playoffs with all hands on deck. We had this year 210 man games of injuries, and we didn't have the injury trouble that we've had in the past or that some teams did, but Victor Olofsson missed 26 games, William Karlsson missed 29 games, Mark Stone 16, Barbashev 12, Hurdle 9, Theodore from Four Nations missed 15, Haig 14, Petrangelo 11. So we had, White Cloud missed 10. We had our share as well, but much better than what we had last year. Certainly the year that we won the Stanley Cup, we had 319. So encouraged by our health going into playoffs. You want to be playing well, you want to be healthy. The Western Conference is really strong. It has been all year. I felt, right from early on that it was the better of the two conferences, with all due respect to some of the teams in the East. But, on our side, what do we have? 6 teams with over 100 points. I think you've got, a handful of teams in the West that could be Stanley Cup champions. I think it's that deep. The team that we're playing finished with 97 points. They had a season where we played there on December 15th. It's interesting how some things just really resonate for you. We played there December 15th. At that time, they were one of the hottest teams in the NHL. They were second overall in the NHL. I remember Kirill Kaprizov scored that night, and on the score clock in St. Paul, they put up Leon Draisaitl's goals and Kaprizov's goals. I believe they were tied or within one of each other. So that's the type of year that player was having. Of course, he went on to miss 41 games. Joel Eriksson Ek, who's a tremendously important player for their team as well, missed 36. They are back to full health. So I think the team that we're preparing for is probably going to be a lot more like the team that we faced in the first half of the season than what we saw in the second half of the season. The wild card teams are very strong. It was no real preference of us if it was Minnesota or St. Louis. It took Minnesota a 6-on-5 goal with 19 seconds left in the game to secure this matchup. If it wasn't, it would be St. Louis who goes into the playoffs as one of the hottest teams in the NHL. So that's life in the West. There's going to be no easy rounds, and there shouldn't be. It's the Stanley Cup. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. I hope I haven't missed anything in my opening, but I'm sure you'll ask questions if I did.
Start with Willie. We've got mics on both sides, so just patient.
Kelly, as you rattle off the numbers and the accolades and the success of this team, you think back to when you brought in Mark Stone. It wasn't just to fill a piece to a puzzle that year. You had a future in mind. He's become the captain. Can you speak to what he's meant and, just in the locker room and on the ice to this organization?
Yeah. Well, I've said many times that for me, when we acquired Mark Stone, in my mind, that's when I felt we were moving into the contender category. I say that we'd already been to the Stanley Cup Finals one time, but that was a tremendous acquisition. Fantastic player that makes players better. Really adds a lot to your team, to his line mates, the leadership. He's our captain. The emotional energy that he brings to the team, to a game, what that does for a team, and he's been everything that we would have ever hoped for and more.
Sean.
You're talking about the offense this year that you generated. Obviously, it's your big guys, but it was also depth. Can you just talk a little bit? Has Pavel exceeded your expectations in how fast he's become an elite goal scorer in this league?
He has. We've had a number of players this year, maybe 5 or 6 that had career years. So Pavel would be at the top of that list. I think when you watch players develop in the American League, you see it in bits and pieces, right? It's never the consistency. A lot of times for young players, that's the big thing that has to be added to their game. So when you would watch Pavel play in Henderson, you'd see that. You'd see that from time to time. And I think what's really been added to his game, much bigger and stronger, and yet I still think he's really got a lot of room left in his development curve that way. And then just the ability to get pucks to the inside. He was more of a perimeter player as a younger player. No hesitation anywhere in the rink now, can carry the puck into traffic. He's got a really heavy stick. He's strong on the puck. And then you can't overestimate or underestimate how important it is for a young player to have veteran leadership alongside. He's really fit in well on that line with Thomas Hertl and Brandon Saad. So that helps him. And the power play, he's had a tremendous role on our power play. Our power play this year seemed to have the perfect player for every spot of the 5 positions, and he scored some tremendous goals there. I don't know how many goalposts he hit, but he also he's around the net all the time. He's a one-shot scorer, and I think that I don't see that changing. I think he's going to be a really talented offensive player in the NHL for a long time.
Any other questions for Kelly today? Yeah, with Jesse McCann.
Kelly, a couple of years ago, Aiden Hill gets thrown in there on your guys' cup run. How have you seen him grow and just kind of mature in his role since then?
Well, 2 years ago when we won, he didn't dress in the first round, right? It would have been Brossoit and Jonathan Quick. Went into the playoffs in Game 3 in Edmonton, which would not be an easy environment. Hadn't played in, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it would have been. So, that achievement, is the foundation for becoming, a really good goalie. If you can do that, you've proven to yourself and to others what you're capable of. I think from there, he's just grown into the role of a starter, which is a lot more than just the physical skills required to do it. It's the mindset, it's the it's the mental toughness to be able to handle a heavier workload for Aiden. It was a really good accomplishment for him to get to 50 games this year. His game against Nashville when we clinched the division was his 50th start of the year, so I would think that's something he feels really good about. He had good health this year, so that was obviously a big part of it. And he's at an age where for goaltenders where he's really in the prime of his career. So he's in his third organization. It takes time at that position, as it does for a lot of young goalies. And he, for me, is our players believe in him. I think that's critical as well. He's a guy that we've won with before and feel that we can win with again.
Signed a number of entry-level contracts over the last couple of weeks. I'm assuming every guy's different, but what's normally the process of when to sign each player to an entry-level contract?
Well, the college guys, it's sometimes when their college season ends, so that would be the case of a Trevor Connolly. Junior players, their rights generally expire on June 1st. There's some exceptions to that based on the age of the player, so that might be when the timing comes into play for players like that. We graduated some American League deals to NHL deals in season, which was based on merit. Would be how those decisions were made. We've brought some players into town as their seasons have ended to spend time in Henderson. So, Cameron Whitehead, who had a tremendous game last night for Henderson, would be another college player that we signed at the end of his college season. Jackson Hallam from Michigan would be in a similar situation. William Kemich, when his season ended in Prince George, we brought him in, so he's played now in Henderson this week. So the opportunity to get them acclimated a little bit before next season, I think, is really helpful in terms of those players knowing what they have to prepare for, what the level of play is. Just even knowing the people, I think, is advantageous for them coming into next fall.
Take a last call for questions for Kelly today. Let's go back to Sean.
You were just talking about Henderson, and I'm curious, the success of that franchise and its proximity. It's so close to here, maybe the closest one I can think of in the AHL. How much does that impact what you're able to do with that organization, because you're able to have a hands-on presence there where other NHL teams may not?
I coached the World Junior once, and we had our camp in Toronto at the MasterCard Center in the Toronto Marlies dressing room, and there was a big sign on the wall, 380 steps. That's how far it was to the Maple Leafs practice facility. So we are close, we're not the closest. Big advantage. It's great for even the opportunity for us as management to watch players, I think is helpful. I think that we're fortunate Ryan Craig is our coach there, who was part of Bruce's staff, so that relationship is a strong one. It's easy for Sean Burke, our goaltending coach, to be able to go over and watch players there. It's very helpful in terms of managing your cap. We wish the team was more successful. We finished strong in Henderson. I think we were 20-12 maybe since the new year, but we'd like those players to get playoff experience, which they aren't going to get this year. So that would be, I guess, the one thing that we wish was better. But young players are really improving there, and that's I guess at the end of the day, that's the mandate. Your American League team is developing players, so that's they've done a good job of that, and I think that's really what we see as being important down there. We'll start winning more in the future there, I believe.